Welcome back to Science Today, the best news source for all things science. As this decade is coming to an end, we will be discussing the greatest American scientists who have changed history during the 20s. Physicists Millikan, Compton, and Michelson have greatly changed our view of the world, along with astronomer Edwin Hubble and rocket scientist Robert Goddard.
The American physicist Arthur Compton was awarded the Nobel Prize of Physics in 1927. Compton studied the scattering X-rays and discovered the Compton effect, which is the increase of wavelength in X-rays when they are scattered. He also discovered the total reflection of X-rays and their complete polarization, which allowed him to more accurately determine the number of electrons in an atom. Because of the discovery, Millikan's oil drop value would need to be revised.
Robert Goddard is a true pioneer in the field of rocket science. Goddard, in 1926, constructed the first successful rocket using liquid fuel, which was launched in Auburn, Massachusetts. Because of these impressive new advancements, he received funds from the Smithsonian Institution to continue developing rockets. When Goddard published a scientific proposal about a rocket flight to the moon, controversy arose on whether it was possible or not. Goddard was also the first person to prove that rockets worked in a vacuum, such as space.
Edwin Hubble was a revolutionary astronomer who studied at the Mount Wilson Observatory and used the 100-inch Hooker telescope. Through his observations, he discovered that there were many galaxies in existence beyond the Milky Way. Hubble also created a system called the Hubble tuning fork diagram for classifying galaxies into ellipticals, spirals, and barred spirals. By studying the Doppler velocities of these other galaxies in relation to the Milky Way, Hubble discovered that the universe is expanding. He and Milton Humason worked together at the Mount Wilson Observatory to estimate the rate of expansion, the Hubble constant, 500 kilometers per second per megaparsec.
Albert A. Michelson, an American physicist, has made spectacular advancements for the world of science, particularly in the field of optics. In 1881, he invented his interferometer to discover the effect of Earth's motion on observed velocity. He also used the interferometer to measure the size of Betelgeuse, which is the largest star in the constellation Orion. Michelson was the first to accurately measure the size of any star other than our own sun. Michelson is also well known for his work with Edward W. Morley on their experiment in which two beams of light passed out and reflected back at right angles to each other. Both beams took equal amount of time to reach the center, disproving the concept of stationary ether.
Particle physicist Robert Millikan has made incredible discoveries that will affect nearly all fields of science in years to come. In 1923, Millikan received the Nobel Prize in Physics for determining the precise charge of the electron with his oil drop experiment, in which electrically charged drops of oil were suspended between two metal plates where they were subjected to the downward force of gravity and the upward attraction of an electrical field. By measuring how the various drops of oil moved about, Robert Millikan showed that their charge was always a multiple of a precisely determined charge. During the 1920s to 1923, Millikan occupied himself with work concerning the hot spark spectroscopy of the elements, which explored the region of the spectrum between the ultraviolet and X radiation, thereby extending the ultraviolet spectrum downwards far beyond the known limit.
These advances in science in the last decade will forever change the way we look at the universe. Compton discovered the number of electrons in an atom and the Compton effect. Goddard was a pioneer in the field of rocket science and made incredible new advancements. Maybe the 1930s will be the decade for space travel, and perhaps we'll see if landing on the moon is a feasible task. Hubble made lots of revolutionary discoveries regarding the way we look at the universe, and Michelson developed a new technology that could measure the size of stars. Millikan was able to determine the charge of electrons with his oil drop experiment. All in all, the 1920s was an incredible decade full of new advancements in science. Be sure to tune in next week of Science Today, where we will be discussing the mass energy equivalence formula discovery with Albert Einstein.